We're back. We're back. Maybe for the last time. It's Tuesday, the 23rd of December, 2025. So, Merry Christmas to you all. And our news bite today takes a close forensic look, of course, at the war between the land and the sea. The whole series of overnights we've got now. And we've got the consolidated for parts 1 and 2. So, there's a lot to talk about, and we will be fair. We've got overnights and the consolidated beginning, yeah? My thumbnail summarised the loss of 1.03 million from episodes 1 to 5, using their averages, and we know how dubious they can be. So let's underline that. Using their figures, comparing like for like, knowing their averages, use inherited bloated figures from other shows, and include bloated final moments before big shows start after. Even with all that considered, the spin-off lost 1 million. And as well as the ratings chat you expect on here, with me and John, Sci-Fi Chronicle 79, we will discuss some of the key issues that still plague us from that series. So I hope you have a bit of Christmas mulled wine, some chocolates you've opened early, or a tin of shortbread biscuits, and you're ready for the chat. It's Christmas after all. So let's get Sci-Fi Chronicles on. Let's get Gallifrey 11 on. Let's get John on. He does all the ratings with me. Here he is.
Hey, hi mate, how you doing? Hi everyone, Merry Christmas all. How you doing?
Merry Christmas. We lost 1 million viewers. You see, that's how I do it. That's how I cheer people up.
Yeah, the Grinch stole the viewers, didn't he?
Yeah. Can you tell what I taught every year? Christmas Carol, you know.
Yeah. Everyone was walking out, weren't they?
I bring Christmas cheer. Yeah, it's still Rtd'S ratings, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, he's a proven winner without a doubt. You know.
Yeah, there's a few patterns to show tonight. So anyway, there's the first one, and it explains to everybody. But I'll show the figures. But everybody, I can see everybody's in a nice Christmas mood in the thread. Good to see you all. I'll bring you all in. I can see Nigel Jones, Funky, Farsight. Obviously, Garbage is there. Sadako, good to see you. Tomboy Chick. Oh, gosh. Let's see who else is there. Woodhouse, 122. All our mates. Nightman, 123. Robert Payne's there. Jamie Reese is downstairs.
Yeah.
Cosmos Runner, good evening. Well, we've got lots to say, and I won't, I'll bring you in if you've got a question or something else. So here we go.
Yep.
So, just kind of to give everybody context, this is how it all started after week 1. This is how it continued weekend 2. And I'll say this, and you kind of said this, John, in a way about RTD. We seem to have the same pattern. The lame bounce we had in season 2, and we get, well, it's not even a bounce this time when I show you the figures.
It's skimming.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not picking up. RTD does not land, never mind plot-wise, but he doesn't deliver ratings-wise either.
Yeah.
So that's why I've come to this. But I will show everybody the proper figures in detail. Okay? So here we are. 3 weekends of prime time captive audiences pre-Christmas on BBC One. And look what's happened. And you know one other thing, John, before I really get going on the ratings? Have you seen the adverts for Night Manager?
Yes.
John le Carré's Night Manager. A thriller, spy, action, adventure, everything you want. And the BBC are putting it right where you'd expect it. This was dumped. Do you think Night Manager is going to be dumped in 2 episodes back to back?
No, not at all. But then again, that looks like a very good drama that's going to bring in a lot of viewers. Whereas, as we see from the screen here, who's really interested in let's be honest, a creature that looks like a bruised testicle? It's just not going to get the views, is it?
And do you know what, everybody, tonight, not only will I talk about the ratings, but I'll talk anecdotally, because when you talk to family and friends and people who haven't got skin in the Doctor Who game, and they just tell you the truth. And I found out more stuff today. And do you know what? It all links up with what we're saying. So there's going to be a nice show. Okay, then, let's see. This was Sunday night, John. This was the overnights. So,
Yeah.
pick here, everybody. You can see on BBC One, we had Country File, 2.5 million. Celebrity Escape to the Country, 2.23 million. Antiques Roadshow, that blockbuster, 3.07. The War Between the Land and the Sea, 1.79 million. Beyond Paradise, 2.69 million. And just so everybody looks at ITV as well, there's The Chase and there's the Royal Variety Show, of which more later. I've got more figures to compare over the years. So
Yep.
people saying, there's nobody watching TV now. You lot need to get a life. You're picking the wrong figures. Oh, I'll pick you some figures, you moan a lot. So if you look at that, John, have you noticed? I'll ask you a simple question, John. Have you seen the lowest figure out of that lot?
I have, and all I would say to you is, obviously, it's an outstanding knockout success when it's being beaten by the Chase bloopers. You know, I mean, sorry, I've seen people today online basically going, "Oh, I know it's a reasonable figure." You know, the Chase bloopers, you know, where they cocked up, that's got more viewers than the this, you know. So I'm sorry, whichever which way you spin it, it says people would rather turn over and watch, you know, Bradley Walsh with a bit of with the others cocking up and looking like idiots than
Yeah.
they would watch, you know, these people in this series being idiots. So there you have it. You know, the people have spoken.
Okay, yeah, and we'll be really fair tonight. These are just the figures from that night. I'm sorry, I can't move them. Everybody who likes to criticize. And remember, I'll do the consolidated in a minute. So if you think that's good news, I'll put it into context. Country File, the drone footage flying over lots of sheep having a crap on some hill gets you another 800,000
Oh,
people watching.
sorry, I thought you were talking about the spin-off then for a second.
Well, you'll always see a bull in a field doing something. You'll see the same in the end of this one. Celebrity Escape to the Country. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Wow. We get to see some kind of half celebrity
Thinking
looking
about
through
buying a
houses
house.
and kitchens. Yeah. That gets more. Antiques Roadshow. Wow. Bit of tat on the screen. It's worth 50 quid. Oh, thanks a lot for that. That gets it. As ever, look, I haven't watched Beyond Paradise, but people are saying, no, that's good. It's good quality. So
Yeah,
honestly, you know, if people are going to go, it's because it was against I'm a Celebrity week one, it was because it was against something else week two, it was because it was against the Royal Variety Show week three. It's because it was what it was.
yeah, absolutely. And again, anybody who's deluded themselves to think that next Christmas they're going to get a knockout episode of Doctor Who, it is, as I said, they're deluded, because this production team and this guy RTD writing it, they are just knocking out poor quality product, and they've done it time and time again. They're getting diminishing returns from viewers, but yet, you know, hang on a minute, I'm the BBC. You know, the guy that tanked Doctor Who, one of our loved and cherished franchises for almost plus 60 years. Well, why don't we get him back? Because surely it's going to be better next time, isn't it? You sure? I bet they're sat there now going, you know, we're bringing him back next Christmas. Have you seen the viewing figures for the spin off? Have you seen the
And
reaction to the spin off?
and I can't prove it just willy-nilly, but I will be, but I will, and I'll be transparent. But I think we can all guess, out of everything I've listed there, the most expensive one was the one that got the least ratings.
Yeah, yeah. And I bet Disney were well happy with the investment.
Yeah. Now there's the elephant in the room. Why did
Yeah,
they leave if it was such a hit?
exactly. And I've said this before, you know, because this hits in January on Disney Plus, doesn't it?
Flops
Yeah,
on. Didn't
exactly. This is going to be exactly the same as Marvel's Echo series, which and what is it? You know, the female Iron Man. You know, uh, those series where they have no confidence in them whatsoever. They are panned critically, and by the viewers, they dump them on one weekend to get all the episodes out because they want to get rid. This is going to be exactly the same. They will dump it one weekend, get rid of it, and that's it. Our deal is over. We can move forward.
And I will say a bit more later about the war between regarding what my friends and family said on how that correlates with the experience. Because
Yeah.
looking from Countryfile Escape to the Country, Antiques, all of them, you know that when you tune into those, you get what it says on the tin. And
Yeah.
some of the anecdotes I was getting about our spin off was very different. So good to see Tomboy Chick. Robert Payne, I suspect the Night Manager doesn't contain any daft ancient species magic. Yes, with lots of stuff unexplained. I bet you the Night Manager explains stuff away. And it doesn't suddenly go, oh, I've got this genius little thing in the back pocket here. And I've got a virus. So Darko, the show was probably last a popular success back when Day of the Doctor happened. Tonight, everybody, I will show you every episode of RTD2 rank ordered with overnights and with consolidated. And you can have a look at how it's all gone. Tom by Chick, I hated what they did with the dogs to make a flippant point. The same in Who with the cat, not to mention sharks have no soul. It's just flippant comments. It's just flippant, nonsensical comments. And Tara here, no good stories, actors who can't act, bad scripts, and an ego maniac in charge. Glad to say I'll never watch this Dog's Dinner of Vanity. You brought up dogs? You're upsetting people?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, you know, and I'm on record, I didn't watch this series. The only thing that I've seen is the final 10 minutes because I went into the lounge and Mum had it on. And I have to say, I don't think it was the reaction that they wanted because I was pissing myself at what I was seeing. I was in hysterics, not just the bit about, you know, the we can be heroes walking into the ocean and then doing almost like dolphin spins in the water. It was hurting. It was that bad. I was laughing so much. But then to finish it off with the straight white male who decides just to lob some litter onto the beach, you know,
Yeah.
that was the bit RTD was praising as, oh, you got to stick around for that. Oh,
Well,
chef's kiss.
we'll stick around for a bit later because my friend didn't know I was doing a show on the ratings, and she was just having a cup of coffee with me, and it spilled. And then as soon as she said something, I said, "Can I ask you a bit more?" I said, "Because I'm going to use it tonight." Because everything she was saying was like, "Do you know? I didn't tee you up. Wow, Wolf instead." So is this officially out? Do we get BBC official announcement that Doctor Who and the spin-offs are going back on the shelf for a decade or two until the IP is needed again or is sold off? No, Wolf instead. They just want to churn out more and more crud. We were saying earlier, me and John, about we always make our football analogies, and we were saying, you know, when a team gets relegated, do you keep the manager? And you hope for the best? Well, you know the clubs that do, and you know the clubs that don't. Sometimes we go, let's stick with him a bit longer, and you never know, it might just turn itself around. Does it?
I mean, again, the trouble you've got is that's a valid question, and any other, I would say, sane production company would be thinking, do you know what? It's had its day for now. Let's rest it for a few years and let's see if we can get a new creative team to come in a few years' time that are hungry, that want to take it in a new direction and breathe life back into it. But this lot won't do it. They will continue to try and put stuff out constantly as often as they can, and it will just be diluting the product more and more and more as it goes along until you know, I don't think it's hardly recognizable now from what Doctor Who is, but by the time they've finished,
Well,
you won't even think it's Doctor Who or
well,
related.
here we go. I'll give you. Here's a clip of what Doctor Who could have looked like regarding this series. Here we go. That was there were some of the designs for the Sea Devils.
You know, I'm not, again, call me a traditionalist, but the original Sea Devil design is still iconic. And I think I said to you on a previous show, I'm not a fan of Chris Chibnall and I'm not a fan of the Jodie Whittaker era, but I at least respect him for actually bringing back the original look of the Sea Devils for his episode. And this, this I've said before, they seem to want to do what the Next Generation Star Trek series did. Every alien was made to look like humanoid. I don't want that. I want Sea Devils to look like they looked in the Sea Devils story. I want Silurians to look like they did with 3 eyes. I want all of that. That's what I love about Doctor Who. I want monsters to look like monsters. But this is just, I've joked. I think I've joked with you in private. There's a War Between the Land and the Sea series that I still watch, and I watched instead of this, and it's called Stingray, and it's 10 times better than any of this nonsense. And again, you can't blame the actor for what they're being given to spew out, but they've got no intention of writing a Doctor Who related monster story, have they? They never did.
No. By the way, I have to be very precise, I suppose. I said Sea Devils because some of us do. These are the Homer Aqua. Now, the reason I say Homer Aqua is because the Homer. I get so confused. She was the version, and the Sea Devils that we recognize were redesigned into a slightly different version to this. But this is Salt. As you can see, she has to look good enough to be snoggable. But, there's a moot point there.
Can I also say, mate, one positive I've got from this is, in decades to come, this will be forgotten as just a one and done show that no one really cares about. The Sea Devils with Pertwee great in it, Delgado great in it, that will still be talked about decades from now as being a fantastic story, and the design of the Sea Devils. So that will last, this won't.
So Mad Mackham here. My wife watched it. Now, I said I'd do my anecdotes as well as all the ratings that's coming. My wife watched it out of sci-fi curiosity, her review. That's 4 hours of my life wasted. Now, you can't feed it from other people. Anecdotes very important, as long as you don't feed them. And Garbage has said his dad. My dad said episodes 4 and 5 were terrible. Now, people are just saying what they feel. It's allowed. And as Matt says, there was no script checking in the series. We've all guessed it. We were looking at the credits again this afternoon, and of course, after all the heroes and put up your letter. We will discuss that later, everybody. Don't worry, in detail. But we were talking about the credits. There's new credits. There's an assistant to the executive producer RTD. There's an assistant to Julie Gardner. There's an assistant to Jane Tranter, an assistant to Joel Collins. He needs an assist. I mean,
So essentially, that's a what I would say in Hollywood terms, that's called skimming off the top.
It's where all the money's gone.
Exactly right. And again, you would think at any other time people would ask questions of it. I think in the current climate and the way Hollywood is at the moment, with Hollywood's teetering on the brink for the next few years, I would say that those days have gone of people just writing blank checks and going, okay, you go off and do your series. There is more accountability now than there has been in the last 10 years. And you wouldn't get an RTD being able to just flitter away money like he has now.
It's become a gravy train, honestly. So there's the figures, everybody, to be fair, right? You've made your judgment. We've discussed them. This is the normal expectation for any TV on a Sunday night in December on BBC One. Very precise. There you go. 4 to 5 million, right? Overnights.
Yeah.
So everything if I wanted to be fair, I'll say everything therefore is underperforming, but our thing is underperforming a lot more. You'll see there the audience share, the expectation is 20 to 30%. Now I'm going to show you that in a moment. And as you'll see from Homer, Aqua and Plastic Apocalypse at the beginning, it was lesser. So let's see how that went. Okay, so this is the audience share. And you'll see something stands out a little bit more. Countryfile around 23. Antiques Roadshow 25. Celebrity Escape 20. Beyond Paradise 22, Royal Variety Show 27. The chase bloopers that you were taking the mick out of, yeah, that dipped a bit, yeah, and that might be why. And then the war between the land and the sea gets 14%. So I'll remind you again, the expected share in December, so I was doing it fair, 20 to 30%. And here you see we are way below that. So when everybody says we're in the top 7, we're in the top 20, we're in this, right? Okay. Context is everything.
Yeah.
And then remember, I'm going to show you rank orders of how this fits with Doctor Who as well. But there you go, John. There's the audience shares. They might just illuminate a bit more.
Well, again, at what point does this get to that level where they basically say, right, okay, the money we're spewing out on this stuff is not getting anywhere near the acceptable returns that are needed for the outlay. We're going to just can it going forward, give it a rest. But I don't know. I mean, again, it's the BBC, and the BBC, you know, think like Russell T Davies and Bad Wolf, you know, ideologically. So any other time I would have thought they would rest the series, they would rest any potential spin-off. But I just don't know anymore, because they just don't even seem to look at the financials. They don't seem to even, you know, particularly bother about the audience share. You know, it's a crazy time we're in at the moment, because this should be just a straight, you know, if you were an exec in the past at the BBC and this came across your desk, big red stamp, cancelled, you know, you wouldn't even talk, would you? You just stamp it and pass it over. That's it, done. But now, again, there's a Christmas special next year coming. That could easily be into the 10%.
But you see, and that's why, and this is why, you know, the ones who'll slag me off and the ones who criticize and they don't want to listen. I've shown the overnights. I'll show the consolidated later, and I'll show the context for them. I also be sure the audience share of an overnight is different to saying the overnight figures are going down. Don't you realize? Yeah, but the audience share of what's left is the audience share of what's left. Let's just get right here. So basically, if it's 25% of only 3 people, that I'm not making a point that there's nobody watching. The percentage should still be okay, shouldn't it? So those people who slag you off and criticize and go, you lot, can I just say, why is the audience? Okay, let's take it a different way, everybody, because they're saying, oh, you'll never get 10 million now. You'll never get 8 million. Okay, shut up. 14% watched it. So 1 in 10. I mean, come on. With the bar's low. Yeah, come on. So, you know, for those people out there who are saying this is amazing, well, I don't know what you find amazing. Yeah, I suppose they're like the people in school who give everybody who was in the race first prize. That kind of thing. I've never been kids have to learn how to lose. Kids have to learn how to win.
I mean, again, this is the same production team, and they over the times that they've been in charge of Doctor Who, they've joked and mocked the late 80s McCoy era, you know, about the viewing figures, you know, and about how it got cancelled, and, you know, how it was perceived at the end of that era. Well, we're way beyond that, aren't we? We were way beyond that in the Shooty era of Doctor Who. Now the spin-off, it just shows again, everything they're putting out that has got anything Doctor Who related to it, even as loosely as this, it's just failing across the board, because people are not buying what they're selling. I think the general viewers now, they've got to the point, they've seen the Shooty era and they saw the Jodie Whittaker era before that. And I will say the Jodie Whittaker era, at least they had stories that were Doctor Who type stories. The Shooty era didn't have any of that. And I think people have just got wind of it now. They're like, oh, okay, this is a Doctor Who related product. No, I'm not watching that, because I hated all of the preaching you pushed into my face every time it was on.
And I will tonight, everybody, don't worry. I will go into some of the plot details as to why I think it did fail, if that's the
Yeah.
case. By the way, I can see, Funky, I'll come back to you. Don't you worry. Lee Smith, Doctor Who shills are saying the ratings are amazing. I've flicked through some of those, and the truth is, they see a headline and they repeat the headline, and then they say, "Isn't the headline good?" And gosh, this is a good headline. Do they go into detail? Do they do research? Do they do statistical analysis? No, because the devil is in the detail, and therefore they've blown off onto the next topic. Yeah, we know it's called not being bright. It's called not being intelligent. It's called having no academic curiosity. I do understand.
Yeah.
That's why they say it's amazing when they don't bother looking. I don't allow anybody to say anything to me until I've questioned it. I think you all know that.
Yep.
Funky, shouldn't an executive or showrunner of any merit be trying to make something that people want to watch live before anything else? I mean, if they're holding on to the fact that people are going to, the ones who do like it will repeat watch 5 times over the month to get nice consolidated, that's not a safe position. And by the way, me and John know the difference. We know we do know from ours. Live compared to recording put out, as you all understand in the
Yep.
thread, it is different because if you saw there were 3 YouTube channels on at the same time that you like, you can choose your topic. Let's say it's the same topic. Now, if one of them happened to be recorded, I'm sure you will prioritize the live one because
Yeah.
it's live and you can interact, etc., etc. It's kind of the same here that we look at the overnights because they're the ones who can be actually bothered at the time.
Yeah.
And yes, people did move off part 2 of this one because I'm a Celebrity was live and it was the final and you don't want it spoilt for the next day one. So people left, and yes, I'll show you the consolidators for part 2. So you do, John, understand that.
Yeah.
But overnights are still crucial to actually telling us. It's like a weather vane.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I see that come up so much online about overnights don't matter anymore. You know, it's the 7 days, then it's the 28 days, then it's the 365 days as the goalposts shift every time that it breaks their mind. I shudder to think what these people are going to be like when the BBC actually come out and go, do you know what? We're going to rest it for several years now. The sky will fall. They're going to need people to supervise them and make sure they're okay when that happens, because this is, you know, they can spin it as much as they want, but this is well beyond the danger zone levels. This is sunk into the depths, to use that analogy.
It has. I mean, if they want to, like you were joking about, if they count it over 365 days, oh, I'd love to know what Genesis of the Daleks is on now.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
we're going to add on for the last 50 years. I mean, come on. When do you stop counting? Come on. Squinty
Yeah.
Min, sadly, I think this has gone beyond the point of giving it a rest. If they ever stop producing it, that's the thing. It's just an addiction.
They won't.
It's
They won't.
called, it's just putting out content. It's content crud. Okay, more ratings analysis. That's what you've tuned in for. I know. Right. I've put this one up, John,
Yeah.
because this is the opposition. And it's ITV. And the other thing is, you know, some people are saying, oh, overnights, they're dying. Everything's dying. So you are expecting the wrong things.
Doesn't look like it there.
So in 2024, the Royal Variety had a dip. It's had a dip for the last 3 years as it's stabilized. All right. Now, when we look at the Doctor Who figures, that is not the same. So basically, you will probably know that Starbeast is still our top rating of all of RTD2 up to Sunday. The very first one. We've dropped like a brick. Whereas the Royal Variety performance, yes, you can see the patterns of streaming and everything that since 2022, less people are watching terrestrial telly. There's my acknowledgement of that, everybody.
Yeah.
But it has now come to a new stabilized area. You can see it's around, I suppose the average would be about 3.4 million, right?
Yeah.
Over the last 3 years. That's the opposition. So why now, in this climate, are we not able to stabilize over a mini series? Are we not able to stabilize ratings between 2023 and 2025 with Doctor Who? There's my point.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's because the product is not being digested by the general viewer anymore. They don't see any appeal to it. Um, I I don't know how much more you can put up and how many slides you can put up to tell people that won't listen. This show is further evidence that the Doctor Who franchise is dead. It's toxic now. Uh, I hate having to say that, but I've been saying that for some time. And you know, and as I said, until this lot are gone, until they make some radical decisions about what they do with it, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse. Because let's be honest, it's an ideological education program now, isn't it? It's not anything
Well,
but that.
well, we're getting very close to my anecdotes, and yeah, it's interesting that you're hitting on all the same things, really.
Hmm.
Funky, nothing is doing that great on streaming either. Yeah, what did you may remember? I did a stream a few months ago. It was one of my first ones with the quotes from the source, and he talked about a merger of streamers and all the rest of it. Some people got the wrong end of the stick and thought Brendan was saying there's going to be one terrestrial channel, but actually no, it was about the. But we're seeing it now. But
Yeah.
he also warned that in the next few years, ITV online, ITVX, all those will have to merge to survive. You're already seeing it happening. So yes, I understand, Funky, that the whole tectonic plates of TV are moving around at the moment. But
Yeah.
there's a bit of context for those who think Brendan doesn't know. Do the shills do all this, by the way? All the shills? I
No.
know they've already, by like 2 minutes, they've finished their show. The headlines are very good, and now next, and you're
Yeah.
thinking,
Now I'm going back to watch it all over again because it was the best series ever created. And then we'll do a further viewing figures
yeah,
that will just tell you exactly the same thing again and rinse and repeat.
yeah,
Please give me more
exactly.
views.
So, just 2 weeks ago, these were the headlines, and then on my next slide, I'll show you our headlines now, so you can see the red is bad. Red is very bad. For those who are not very, red is bad, 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 bad. Okay. Headlines for this week. So this is now looking at all the overnights, part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is Brendan being fair again. The premiere was a standout, right? So people came looking to see what is the war between the land and the sea. So it did all right overall. So there's the standout.
Can
It
I just
actually
ask,
go on.
are they still looking for the war as well?
Yeah. Yes, this is the point. People tuned in. It outperformed most of Shooty's Doctor Who episodes, by the way. It did. There's me, Shills, acknowledging. Do you lot acknowledge the detail? No, you don't. Plastic Apocalypse, which was on the same night, but it had a 27% drop in the overnight ratings. I'm a Celebrity was seen as the reason why. Okay, I'm just putting it there. Part 3, The Deep, we saw a bit of a rebound. The Rich of the Waterfall on the same night, a 31% drop. Now, John, here we go. Here we go. Those on the other side of the argument said, oh no, but part 2 on the same night dropped because of the opposition. In the next weekend, it wasn't I'm a Celebrity, but it had a 31% drop. Go figure. And then obviously on Sunday, we had the typical finale, slight boost, but really it's a flop.
I mean, again, this is me speaking from outside of the tent looking in because I haven't seen it. But I think the audience, the general viewers, are figured out now with Russell T Davies because I think a lot of them probably do know who Russell T Davies is now because let's be honest, he shoves his face into every promotion about a series ahead of the actual series these days. So um, I think they get to that first episode and try it, and they're like, no, this is terrible. I'm not interested in this. They check out. They don't want to be involved with it, and it's a diminishing return from there. I don't think his series have that staying power, regardless of all his ideological stuff. I just don't think he adds enough now. I think he's putting in bare minimum these days. I really do.
I think the truth is, and I'm not actually trying to slight him here. I actually think he fits Channel 4. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
he does.
that's not me being nasty. I think his content, the types of storyline, his style, I think is more suited for something like Channel 4. And I think that's meant to be a compliment to the Channel 4 thing. It is.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's blockbuster TV material. I just don't. He managed to do something clever with Doctor Who in 2005 to 10.
I think, mate, I was going to say, me and you have talked about it before, and my views on it, that hindsight's a powerful thing. And looking back now at the RTD1 era, and from seeing what we've got going forward, I can clearly see that series was a success because of the great writers that were around him and the scripts that were adapted from novels, and from Big Finish audios that, he took, because all he had to do at that point then is just add his own little spin on top of it, for the arc, for the season arc. Now, pretty much season 1 of Shooty, he wrote the bulk of that himself, didn't he? And then he brought in, the two writers from Loki from Disney Plus. Then he had the the poet and the activist. So he brought in very limited people that weren't skilled and talented enough to write Doctor Who stories, that were still proving themselves. And this is me being fair to them, proving themselves on their abilities. It should have been on a lesser series or a lesser production, but he brought them in. And again, it shows he can't carry it on his own. And I've long since said before, he is not a science fiction writer.
No,
he is a drama and soap writer.
And I don't think I don't think he knows the key to this. I don't. He just hit a rich thing before. He doesn't know why it was successful, and he's stumbling again. Bungle Bear, streaming's the future, and one of the biggest, best funded international streaming companies has just rejected Doctor Who. Yeah, go figure. How does that make sense? Exactly. Cybermat strikes. Our Australians are in. Negative Nelly, she'll be right. The 2026 Christmas special is going to be a comeback. You get back to making your plastic pillars, you. He's got his own little 3D printing machine, and he's making pillars. Yeah. So yeah, he's gone doolally. That's what's happened there. Farsight. The 7-day figures for episode 1 and 2 show similar. Yeah, you're jumping the gun, you little devil. Yeah, they're consolidated. We will. So let's have a look. There's a bit more to come here. Garbage, does our AI. You will see some in a minute. What kind of justification is there? Was there something on the better on the other side? Just think about that for a second. That is their logic and justification, confirming that the spin-off was CRAP. Yes, exactly. Terrified Monk, I was bored to tears watching the first episode, but I may have gone into it with a bad attitude. Well, sort your attitude out, man. No, I showed a bit of this on Sunday. The point is, parts of part 1 and a few parts of part 3, I think had promise, and I did my Benjamin Cook butchery of it. And I think, John, and I just wanted your opinion, I think this would have been better if it was focusing on this than actually what we saw.
Something's leaking, bloody hell.
Careful.
What is it?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, that was a bit like Doctor Who, I'll be honest with you. And the corpse of a sea devil, you thought, whoa, they're going to be angry. That sort of thing I'm happy with,
Yeah. If it was any other writer, top writer that was writing a series about this, what they would have done regardless is they would have gone, okay, I watched, as an example, they would have gone, I watched the Sea Devils, the John Pertwee story, the Sea Devils, they would have said in their production meeting the other day, and it's fantastic. I want to do a sequel to that story. But they would have honored it and they would have added to it. What he does is he hasn't added to it. Him and his cronies have effectively adapted it to push their own ideological spin on it. Like you said, it could have been great as a dark, gritty drama. You know, it could have been great. It could have been, you know, when you talk about war between the land and the sea, I want to see things about, you know, like you see flashes in the Sea Devils where they're dropping depth charges and things like that. You know, from what you've said to me, you don't get any of that. You just get waffling.
And I'm being really fair. I'm not trying to prove any points here. I mean, I love my Doctor Who, and if you show me a hint of it, like I said on Sunday, my favourite bit of Canine and Company, I'm sad to say, was the bit Sarah mentions the Doctor, because I want my Doctor Who. I'm a glutton for that. So this just felt like, oh, right, something's under the water, right?
Jesus! We come in peace.
Does the word severance mean anything to you?
You know, can I just say one of my problems with all of this, right? And funnily enough, I was talking with Gary. We did a Buck Rogers recording yesterday for the theatrical release, and one thing I said in the review is I said, "Do you know what? Modern day, they give you so many episodes with characters, but they don't have any three-dimensional element to them. They don't flesh out the characters. You don't care. You're not invested in the characters. Whereas I said in 5 minutes of Buck Rogers, you like Buck and how he's turned up and you're rooting for Buck Rogers. Here, you know, we've had that. I'm going to give an example. We've had Colonel Ibrahim in the Shooty era and in the 60th, right? Did literally sweet FA in all of it. You know, we knew nothing about him. There was no development. It was a forced relationship with Kate Lethbridge Stewart. And yet you're supposed to care when he's taken a bullet, you know, and dies. Couldn't give a stuff. I don't know who he is. You know, that's the problem. You know, and these are meant to be intelligent writers who can write very, very good characters.
It wasn't directed well, sadly. I mean, the slow-mo and everything's fine, but it doesn't make any sense because where he ended up shot and he was behind, and how did he see the red dot on her is beyond me. But,
This is for you.
So they're the best for me. They're the best bits. A bit of an assassination attempt, blah blah blah. So you know, it didn't do much. Now my anecdote for a moment, and then we'll hit the consolidated. Everybody, yeah, there's plenty here, and I've noticed you've sneaked in, Boomer Doug. Hiya, Merry Christmas. This moment, this is part one, John, and I think, oh God, if I remember says right, I've got all the time in somewhere, but I think we're about 15, 16 minutes in, maybe. Something like that. Now, one Sea Devil or Homer Aqua, whatever you want to call them, arrive in the water. And it's the first contact of the fish kind type thing, right? Now, my friend today, who obviously, good to see her, we were chatting away about life. And then she said she was watching this Sunday drama. She said, you might have liked it. I mean, here we go. And then she said, but I stopped watching it. So I said, oh, was that the blah, blah, blah? She said the one with a really long title. That was the first thing. She said, She said, I was very suspicious of it. She said, why did it have such a long title? And I thought, do you know what? This is a gift from heaven, this. Tell me more. Because she said, why was it called that? That was stupid. She said it was just too long. She said, I was thinking, what? Anyway, okay, that was just a by the by. The bit when her and her husband stopped watching was this moment. And it correlates with the actual breakdowns, John. So basically, you're just a normal British viewer. It's Sunday night, BBC One, December. You're flicking through the channels and you go, oh, I've seen a bit about this war between the Thin and Magic. I said to her, what do you expect to watch? And she said, an action adventure. I was expecting something like that. Thrills and spills. The war between lots of, and she said, so we sat down on the settee, bang. She said it was okay. She said we ignored some of the messages. This is the British woman. We ignored some of the messages and thought, well, we'll stick with it. And she said, but then when this happened in the water, and I was very specific. I said, which bit are you talking about? And she said, it's the bit when he's got the spear and he's on his own in this. And I went, I know exactly the bit. So I'm showing that bit now, folks. That bit, if she says that, you can imagine a lot of other people. They're not Doctor Who fans. Like she said, I think you'd have liked it, Brendan. I thought, oh, here we go. And of course, so this is the moment, John. And this is the moment I show you week 1. And it started at 8:30. And they've lost 700,000 people in 15 minutes. And my friend was one of them. And her husband was a second one.
Well, there you go. If that's not, evidence enough that people are just checking out, that it's low quality, what else is there, quite frankly? I mean, from what I've seen from there as well, mate, it looks like he's ripping off Aquaman as well. It really does look like he's ripping off Aquaman with a lot of the stuff he does. And, I know you told me as well about the rubbish being thrown back. And I said to you, I saw that,
Yeah.
that someone filming it over a year ago. And I said it was going to be a climate change series. And I just laughed at it because in Aquaman, they did that, in Aquaman, they had all the spears and stuff. It's not even original, at least if you're going to upgrade the Sea Devils, at least still keep them as Sea Devils, have the weaponry the same as the Sea Devils had in the 70s. But again, it's just not going to sell for the general viewer, I don't think now, because again, as much you've mentioned this before, and I'll follow it up. The fact that they tried to conceal that this was a Doctor Who connected franchise, this was a Doctor Who connected series by just saying BBC, the war between the land and the sea, tells me everything that I need to know, that they were distancing themselves from a Doctor Who brand that is damaged and is not seen as a positive from the general audience.
John, I'll throw something in there because it was really interesting. My friend continued. By the way, hello, Just Words. I've regained some love for Classic Who, but I've had to convince myself this stuff isn't canon. So good to see you. Thank you. Can I just say this? My friend said this. Remember, I'm not asking her this stuff. She just came out with it. I was thinking I should have recorded this. You could have been on my show tonight. Bang.
Yeah.
And just what you were saying, John, she knows I'm a Doctor Who fan, right? So anything weird, like she was hinting at, you might have liked it. Something weird in the water, right? So she is. But the other thing, she actually said this. She said, but this wasn't Doctor Who. So she felt tricked. And as soon as she saw the creature in the water, she said, I'm out.
Yeah.
Now, she said, but if it had said it was Doctor Who, she said, you know that the rules are different for Doctor Who. And I thought, do you know what? This is brilliant, this. This is how the audience thinks. She said, because the Doctor Who does things a bit differently. And she said, and you accept that because it's Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Because we'd sat down to watch an action adventure with a war and we didn't get it and we got this weird stuff, she said we were out. In other words, you've tried to trick us that it's nothing to do with Doctor Who, but it is. And by the way, John, they keep bloody mentioning the Doctor in it. You're using Doctor Who's monsters as in their name. You're using Unit. So please, RTD, don't you pretend this was a Doctor Who spin-off. You might as well have had the bloody Doctor doing this adventure, season 7 style, and actually taking it very seriously, and we might have got somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right, and I think the first thing that, and I'm not a specialist, but I'm currently reading books on people that are at the moment, and they basically talk about, when you're structuring a series or a movie, you've got to make the world believable. And for me, ever since that 60th anniversary, the world hasn't been believable because you've got a 14th Doctor that sat in a garden having cucumber sandwiches. Now,
Yeah.
like this series you're talking about now, this is a world changing event that is going on. You're telling me that nobody at UNIT or an intelligence agency went to visit the Doctor and sat with him in the back garden and says, "Look, Doctor, we've got a problem here. We need your assistance. Can you help broker a peace deal?" But no, you know, you're just meant to believe that he's just sat at home. It's just the world breaks, that it just doesn't make
I,
any sense.
when we look at one or two of the issues, John, I'll show you some of the quotes where they do talk about the Doctor, and you might be interested. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's my anecdote, but I think everyone would find that useful. And also a bit of context. We're about to look at the consolidated. Strictly, by the way, look at their overnights. Oh, tasty. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but why does Strictly get to do better than Doctor Who? Because it
And
wasn't in 2005.
and can I just say, and Strictly have had a lot of controversies of late as well, and yet they still get those overnight figures.
Yeah.
The
And
spin-off doesn't have any of those excuses.
and traitors as well, by the way. Let's just
Yeah.
keep laying it on thick here. Boomer Doug, RTD doesn't have an original bone in his body. Even in his so-called brilliant early work, it's mostly based on his life in Manchester under the guise of social drama. He's a soap opera writer. I think he is
Yeah.
a frustrated soap opera writer. He even
Once
made
Corey.
he even made Why Don't You into a soap opera, I do recall.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it was bad enough as it was. You didn't need to make that into anything. So yes, Strictly Come Dancing, which used to be neck and neck with Doctor Who in 2005, suddenly is like our big brother or sister. We can't. We need them to help us. So I promised the rank ordering. So before we get to the consolidated, here's the overnights, John. In the
Yep.
far right column, excuse me about that, part 1, part 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see part 1, 2.82 million average
Yeah.
tuned in. And obviously 3 weekends later, 1.79. So there's my 1 million lost thumbnail. So I'm just using the truth, everybody. But we've got consolidated coming. But then you can look at everything made by RTD2's era. You may notice something. Green is obviously better than orange, and orange is obviously better than red. My rag rating. Have
Thanks,
you
mate.
noticed that? Have you noticed? Have you noticed anything?
There seems to be a lot less green than there does amber and red, my friend.
And in the last, say, 6 months, we've had a lot more red.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's the engine pistons are going at full power, aren't they? Clearly.
Everybody turned up for Star Beast, Wild Blue Yonder, and The Giggle. Maybe partly David Tennant and Donna Noble coming back. I'm not stupid, yeah, because then it was still possible. There was a bit of hope. There was a bit of optimism. He hadn't opened his gob about Davros yet, and we were in, and we're all hopeful after what had been before. Everybody, do you know the British nation is now willing Doctor Who on in 2023? It was green. These are the overnights, everybody. Overnights. In November and December. That's a bit like where we were this last 2 weeks. So,
Yeah.
oh my God, the world's collapsed in 2 years. Really?
Well,
So,
I was going to say, mate, as well, what you said there about, people were willing it on in 2023, you're 100% correct. And this is why, my thoughts have always been that if they do rest it, when it comes back in the future, whoever brings it back has got twice the difficulty of making it a success now, because when it came back in 2005, and even when he had the TV movie, there were still people that had maybe dropped off of watching Doctor Who, but they went, oh, Doctor Who's back and it's on. I'm going to watch that and see what it's like. Now, because it's become so toxic, a lot of general viewers will be like, oh yeah, that Doctor Who, yeah, it used to be good, but then it just went woke and stupid. And that's the problem whoever takes over will have if they rest it for a while.
Yeah, and I agree. We are where we are.
Yeah.
I can never say your name. Sticks Boy 73. Do these numbers include iPlayer? Now these are the overnights only, consolidated users, all that. I'm not sure. I don't know. They did say with the spin-off, for example, John, if I was sat there live and it says if you want to press the red button, you can watch it in Ultra HD and all the rest of it. So I'm assuming iPlayer might be coming in. I'll have to check that out, Sticks Boy, about whether they include in those live. It would have to be live. Now, I promised you rank order, John, because I'm not expecting everyone to spin the plates here. Here we go. In the RTD2 era, I'll take the top frame off, right? And you'll see, there's the whole era. In fact, I'll go bigger. There you go. The whole era, everybody. This is RTD2, November 23 to now. I've color-coded it just so you can see season 1 is red, season 2 is light blue, the 2 Christmas specials in white, and the specials are in green. And you know when they came, red came before the blue, and the blue's mostly at the bottom. The yellow, of course, are the overnights for the spin-off. So you can see where they sit. You know, John, there, for example, I was fair about Homer Aqua, saying it beat most of Shooty's Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I was honest about that.
You were.
But then part 3, part 4 and part 5 are not as good as Shooty's era, mostly.
No. And again, part of it, look, people tuned out, like you say, after the first episode. That you've got irrefutable proof to back that up. I do think as well, it's because a lot of people also just dropped out while attempting to watch the Shooty era, and they've not wanted to come back because of what they saw before. And again, when you talk about water cooler moments, about people talking at work and people talking out and about it, like your friend did to you today, people aren't saying positive things about it anymore. You know, there was a time when people would talk at water coolers about how great Doctor Who was. You know, did you see it last night? Oh, it's great. Now, I hear it from people that know I've checked out, and they said, "Oh, I watched so-and-so the other night, and it was rubbish." And people are just checked out from it. It's got such a negative perception with the general audience now.
Yeah.
I don't see a way coming back. But I mean, if you're an exec at the BBC, I'm going to push this back to you, mate. If you're an exec at the BBC and someone hands you those slides, are you commissioning a new series?
And by the way, I have these slides available for the BBC if they want them.
For a small fee.
I have a funny feeling they've already got the slides and they're locked away.
Yeah.
It's like everybody hides the bad news from their boss. I think I know what's going on.
They're in like a safe, like in Robot.
Yeah. But I think the most simple thing for people to see there is green is where we started 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And yellow is where we ended. And granted, the first week people were interested and the deep managed to get some rebound back. But to be quite frank, in the last week, people had already checked out. So I want to see the shills make the best of that screen. Because to me, RTD2's era has ended more with a limp. Because the answer is just squint and look at the blue and the yellow. The blue and the yellow is the latter half of the RTD2 era. And it just so happens to have flopped.
Yeah.
It started with promise. Then people saw it. The Sensphere started with a Star Beast. And sorry, we started with a giggle and then caught up fast. So basically, we were full of optimism. And we became angry and cynical and disappointed, and we are where we are now. So there you go, everybody. What was your question? Sorry, John.
Oh no, I was just saying to you, just what I said about if anyone wants your data, if would you be renewing a series? That was it.
No,
yeah.
the trajectory is same.
it's
But
it's gone aqua.
I wouldn't do a Michael grade. I would just say we need to give it. I think it's called being mature. You would just say, right, we're not going to make any more. We're going to have a rejig.
Yeah.
Did everybody see the William Hartnell pilot and they had a rejig? Did everybody notice that with certain new programs, especially in the 60s and 70s, they did pilots or they did a series of early I Have Been Served and early sitcoms and that, and they went, it's not quite working. We need to rejig the characters. We need to change things. That's all Doctor Who needs. That's all it needs.
The trouble you've got as well is it needs a new creative team, but it won't happen because it just gets passed around the same people, like pass the parcel at a birthday or Christmas party. Oh, it's your turn now. Here you go.
Yes.
It needs to be completely disconnected from these people, and it needs to be given to a new production team, a new creative team that have had no involvement since 2005, that can basically come out with something fresh, or you'll get more the same.
John, on the Hooniverse show, he had his hand on Pete McTighe's knee at one point. It was a joke, but he still did it. And I looked at the credits, everybody. Oh, yeah, you get research with Sense for you. You look at the credits of the spin-off on Sunday, and the assistant to RTD is called Justin MG something. And when you look him up, he's an independent director, blah, 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 who made the 6 episodes of Tales of the TARDIS. They're just feeding off each other.
Well, I said to you ages ago, and I've said, I think, on your shows as well, I can see it being Pete McTighe. I've seen it for quite a long time now. I don't think it's going to get any better with him. Some of the stuff he's done in the TARDIS extras on the collection sets, I don't agree with at all. The climate change comments when 2 girls go for a walk down by the caves for some reason, funny thing to do a first date on, and then find a sea devil egg. You're going to get more of that from the next production. And again, the trouble is nobody is telling them you're meant to be making something that entertains people. You're not entertaining people. You're entertaining people that are probably well below 1% of the viewership because they think like you do.
This is how
that is a problem.
This is how you entertain people. Oops.
Yeah.
Lucky there was no fog. I'd never have found this.
I suppose we are doing the right thing, aren't we?
Stinks, Julian's not me walking, always a fallout, a fury from the deep.
Where's the Rtd'S drummers this time?
Feels familiar.
Very casual, Grandad.
I can't stand this. I'm having a breakdown. This has been one of the worst days of the week. The Sensphere. I want it shut down now. I don't like their opinions. They don't realise I'm Russell T. Davis. Russell T. The.
When I say run, run.
Run! Where are we?
Keep your eyes peeled. I have a nasty feeling.
It's a bit of tack, Grandad.
It's an antique. You're becoming millionaires. Let's rummage around and let's see what else we can source.
You mean Nick? I'm going to tell Gran.
I'll just say I was looking for the G-spot.
This is a massive warehouse of scrap.
This is what me and your Gran used to think was modern.
Look at this. And this. Oh, it stinks.
Watch what you're throwing.
It's like a repair shop in here.
Your Gran has something like this in a drawer. It's got frequencies. The Welsh windbag. He's found us.
The Alpha, the Omega, and everything in between. Honest to God, the Saviour, the Christ of Doctor Who. Without me, there would be no excitement, no wildness, no human.
Oh, you see, bring back that music and you're away with it. Before I forget, and it's important, of course, Those are made by Garbage Who. He does our
Yeah,
moderation. He does
brilliant.
our AI. Please keep checking out his channel. Give him views and give him a subscription. And of course, we've got John here. And of course, his channel is Sci-Fi Chronicles. You must check it out. Must give it a subscription. He is tantalizingly close to 500 subs. Tonight, we could get him over that. You just have to subscribe. So there you go, everybody. That's John.
Yeah.
You enjoy his content. Just give him a sub now. He'll be happy to buy for Christmas.
Oh yeah, Christmas come early. Thank you for that, mate. And no, it's always fun being on here, but also, yeah, Garbage is doing some great stuff. So you know, by all means, check out his channel because you know, if you want, I was going to say actually, when we're getting such bad quality, it's good to actually see that there are independent people creating stuff. You've got Garbage doing his stuff on his channel with his AI, which is great, but also you've got Phil Brown and co who are, you know, currently working on Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion, and I can't wait to see that when it's finished. So there's good stuff being made Doctor Who related that isn't connected to the current production team, and that's where I'm going to focus my attentions for the foreseeable future, and the classics, of course.
So I promised the Consolidated too. It is the rating show after all, and I also promised a bit of debate. So here we go. Consolidated as promised. Go to the far right column, and there you have the 2 spin-offs so far. To be fair, if I take that off, you can see I've got my titles. You can see the Consolidated for season 2, for season 1, and for the specials. This is all the whole RTD2 era. Again, you can have a look at the colours, and you can keep an eye out here. There's no red because it's consolidated, so the figures are higher. So I'm using the same figures as the benchmark. So you've got a deeper green, a lighter green, and then you've got your amber. There's more amber. In fact, there's only amber for season 2, Consolidated Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So the spin-off in that way, consolidated wise, did better. It was, by the way, you've got to be fair in a different way. Doctor Who, for some reason, is getting shown in sunny climes, in the summer season, spring season. The spin-off and the specials were shown in the winter. I have to say, Doctor Who is a winter beast. And so that might come into it as well. So there you go. And of course, as per usual, I'll get the right one up, Brendan, for a second. So part 1, 4.3. Part 2, 3.5. That's the same night, remember, everybody. And everybody whinges about, well, I'm a Celebrity was on. But now, hold on a minute. Screeching of brakes, John.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if I'm a Celebrity was on because this is consolidated. So here's a question for everybody. It's a murder mystery. Where did 800,000 people suddenly go? Because, okay, live, they watched part 1, then they had to go and watch the final of I'm a Celebrity. But then they had 2 weeks to play catch up if they were bothered. Where did 800,000 go?
Kate's killing them off due to littering. That's probably what's happening. That's the only deduction I can make, my friend. It's just, again, 800,000. Wow. Okay. So that, you know, they've got the data on this. You know that is like, you know, the alarm bells are ringing, you know, abort, hit the abort button. It must be being pressed at some point because, you know, how much, as we were saying earlier, how much of Disney's money did they spaff on this? You know,
it is so sad. I can stare at the spin-off, you know, John, and go, look how well it's made. Look at those amazing drone shots. Look at there's 5 naval ships in the water. Look at that. Look at that diving bell. Look at that. But it doesn't matter. Yeah, me and Jamie were saying tonight, even the underwater sequence, which we'll see a bit later tonight, you know, the whole kind of salt and blah, blah, blah. Okay, take away that it's a fish and all that nonsense. If that was the Doctor in a sequence made with the same production values, with that same underwater shot, and he was fighting a monster underwater, that would be Doctor Who with Disney budget, and it would be fab.
Well, you're right. I mean, again, going back to the Sea Devils, look at that. You know, people would say that was a cheap production by the standards of back then, but look at the action sequences. You know, where you've got the shootouts between the Sea Devil and the Devils and the Navy. You know, there's far more entertainment value in that than there is in any of this. I'd much rather have something entertaining like that happening than just people talking for most of the run.
Now, now everybody's seen a lot of figures tonight, and I can give you a better context, and that's why I showed this for a second. Those were the overnight figures for part 1 and 2. Now, if you do your maths, everybody, I've already done it for you. Part 1 added 1.47 million into the consolidated. Part 2 added 1.44 million. Right? Hold on, everybody. So, you know, all the shills had told us off and said the overnights were lower, you know, because as you can see, it's nearly 800,000 dipped. And it's because of I'm a Celebrity. But then the consolidated, as we said, should seal that figure up. But when we actually then look at what actually happened, as you can see, it's actually very consistent shills. 1.47 million added part 1. 1.44 million added part 2. Statistically, that's a dead heat. So statistically, John, am I able to make the assumption that if it's done well on that same bar and not got worse, 1.44 million about will add to that figure for the final overnight, which was 1.79, which would take us to just a low 3.2-ish, which is not very good.
No, it's not good at all. And
sorry, John, just before I forget, sorry, John, that 3.2, if you add all that together, still is below the overnight for the Royal Variety performance on the other side.
And can I also say, and just add a little bit of context as well, remember when Doctor Who was coming back under RTD2 for the specials, and he said it was going to be bigger than ever, you know, we were going to be able to compete with the big guns in the world, you know, in production, you know, with this Disney partnership. We're now at a point, and we talked about it in the Shooty era, where, as we were saying earlier, the Chase bloopers is beating this spin-off series, right? This was Disney money that was involved in this co-production. Now, Disney, you're telling me and again, could this be why they pulled the plug, mate? That they go and sit in a room and they go, right, what do you think we're going to do for viewing figures for this? Well, we think, and we've got an outside chance, we've looked at it, we've asked people, we've done some votes, we think we might beat the Chase bloopers.
I know.
And they're like, well, sign that check. Let's rock and roll, everybody. Here we go.
And my source tells me how hard it is still to get money in pictures and all the rest of it. He can't believe it, really. Bungle Bear, parts 1 and 2 were beaten by the snooker on BBC 2. It's cheaper. That is cheaper. You stick a few cameras in a room. It's a snooker table and 2 people. I mean, our way. Now, let's rank order this then. Let's get this in order then. Oh, yes, John. Oh, here comes the fun. This is consolidated fun time. This is the top 10 in Britain that week. All right. So, you know, I'm going to say all about the shills. You can see I'm a Celebrity was dominating the schedules. Of course you can. And Celebrity Race across the world. And Strictly Come Dancing. So basically, if you were a media producer and you wanted stuff on the cheap and you wanted ratings, get celebrities in it, reality TV type thing. Yep, that seems to be the score there. So there's the top 10. So where's our Doctor Who spin-off? Well, the shills are all excited because, John, it's in 14th place. But John, there you go. Did the shills say that it's behind the wheel? The wheel, Michael McIntyre, if people don't know, he has a game show with a wheel and the wheel moves. So it's high tech, as in you've got a moving platform. That's it.
Production costs. Do these people ever think about production costs as well? You know, and they think, oh yeah, you know, 14th, it's brilliant. You know, it's bound to get recommissioned. You're looking as you go down the list at the cost of these productions compared to what it's costing to create this series. And it just is staggering how people don't figure out this is not a profitable series for any production company. You know, even you got Shetland up there. Shetland, you know, is a drama, but their production costs are nowhere near what this would have been. You
No.
know, it staggers me that people still don't take that into account.
Because my big question, John, is do they, to make Shetland, do they have to go to Mallorca? No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, we know why they did what they did. Fair enough. But
And did they need to go to Mallorca for this? No, they didn't.
And there were good shots. I mean, I won't knock the shots are fine. It's the shots is not the problem. It is style over substance. And Rtd's job is to deliver the substance. To be honest, the BBC have done a deal with Disney. Bad Wolf are part of that, and actually, production-wise, they have delivered. Where they haven't delivered is the heart of the production was crud. Didn't make sense, and we are going to talk about plot holes and everything else, everybody. Don't worry, I'm just giving you the facts first because it is ratings. But if Shetland is beating, remember, this beats part 1, but it whops part 2. Part 1, everybody didn't know what it was. My friend only watched part 1. She didn't watch part 2. So that's why the figures are lower. And then you start to see what it's truly going to be, because now everybody knows what it is. When everybody watched Star Beast, they didn't know what Doctor Who was going to be like. Now they know, and they're not watching. It's the same thing. So anyway, the wheel beat it. I mean, I don't think that's a good thing. Now, the second episode, John, which, you know, we won't allow I'm a Celebrity to be the excuse now. You'll see that it's in 22nd place.
Sandwiched between 2 episodes of Emmerdale.
Yes, but you shouldn't be exclusive, John. The BBC News at 6 wasn't that far behind it. So, you know, what was the news that day? No doubt that, you know, some dinghies appeared or something like that. I mean, there wasn't much happening, was there? I mean, you know, so there hasn't been much news lately. They'll probably say Keir Starmer's had a hairdo or something. I mean, there hasn't been much content. So basically, it's dinghies, Keir Starmer's not looking
gone
popular.
abroad.
Yeah, there's been a budget, blah, blah, blah. And our expensive, glossy, sci-fi, epic, standalone spin-off is between Emmerdale's soap opera, a BBC News item, and... I mean, oh dear. I don't think this looks promising, does it? If I was the bean counter at the BBC going, do we do a full series 3 doing the same? Do we commission more? You know, well, you just make more Country File. Just make more EastEnders, seems to be the answer.
Yeah, I mean, logically, you would think that's the way they would go, but the BBC these days don't make logical production decisions, do they? You know, it's almost like, I don't know, they seem to think that, oh, if we commission a series, we'll make X money from Doctor Who from merchandise. You know, that is that kind of thinking. But the fact is, the show is so poor, the merchandise isn't there anymore, so people aren't buying any of it. It's all one big cycle, and these people will keep green lighting Doctor Who series. I really do believe that now. I think he's going to get his Christmas special. I think he's going to have some executive producer title or credit on it, you know, even if McTeague takes over, and you're going to get more of the same, because these people, and you've talked about it before, you've mentioned about the sources said, you know, it's the path of least resistance with these BBC execs now, where they think, hang on a minute, that failed with RTD at the helm. Well, let's keep the same production team in control, and we'll go again, because surely that's going to get more success. They're not thinking about this is the wrong direction for what the viewers want.
Yeah, I don't get it. Now you've got Michael Nemo here. Thank you. I'll take that as a lovely Christmas gift. Thank you. Star Trek has been about the message for a while. Then the showrunner was absent and gave it to a real fan. For one season of Picard, we got a proper follow-up that felt like Trek. I wish that happened with Who. Well, you've got a Trekkie on here called John. John, do you agree with what Michael Nemo was saying there?
Season 1 of Picard, no, I disagree on that. I think personally for me, season 1 of Picard is one of the most awful series that's ever been created. I would say that's above Doctor Who, but RTD2. But I will say Picard season 3 was very, very good. Star Trek has been about the message in the Kurtzman era. And again, season 3 of Picard, it was just good that we actually got Terry Matalis that was involved on that when Kurtzman took his eye off the ball, and Kurtzman on a Matalis on a shoestring was able to make quality Star Trek Picard. Kurtzman, he is in the same mindset as Russell T Davies as far as I'm concerned. They have no interest, they have no love and affection for the actual show itself, what they've got control of. It is just literally low grade, the lowest branch on the tree type of product that they put out now. And I know you joked about it on one of your shows where basically we're under attack, there's torpedoes hitting us, but hang on a minute, how's your love life? How are you getting on at the moment? Are you doing okay? That is Kurtzman Star Trek. That's where we are with that. But likewise is where we are with Doctor Who.
There was an element, John. I noticed it again. How many times, people, have we noticed that? Right, in this case, he's got a 5-part series and he's got money, somebody else's money to spend. The war that didn't happen was over early. So even in the last episode, John, I think there was still, and I've said this before with Empire of Death. I've said this before with season 2, Reality War. The show's over and there's still about 15 minutes left. And then we can do the soap opera wrap up. So again, the war's over. We've built you up. We're not going to show you it. Can't you see there's loads of dead bodies? It's over. Right, now we're going to show you Kate on a beach. And now we're going to show you a love affair with a flipper fish. It's classic RTD.
It's clickbait.
Yeah, I'm basically, what's that rhyme about the Grand Old Duke of York? He leads you up the hill, but then he takes you back down again, and you're going, why did we do this? Why are we following you?
Exactly right. And you nail on head, because every time that guy, has the hyperbole and comes out and says, oh, you've got to wait to see the after credit scene at the end of this episode. It's all BS. I never buy into anything he says because it's just to try and keep the viewer engaged to the end of the episode, because it helps them. Let's be honest, the general viewer who managed to stick around to the end of that episode and they saw that, if they weren't like me, where they were actually in so much pain because it was hurting so much because they were laughing so much at that scene, I don't know what is. I mean, the whole we can be heroes as we go into the water, and we're doing the dolphin spins underwater. And I'm like, someone sat down, someone wrote this,
Somebody was typing this in his bedroom. That's
And if you litter, you deserve to be exterminated. Yes. With the message at the end of that story.
Is this the context? RTD, who it's a good book, a writer's tale, wrote at one point he loved Russell Tovey's Bottom, and he's typing, oh, we've got Russell Tovey in a 5-part spin-off. Now he's in the water, there's lots of frolicking around. I can just see it now. I think I know why that expensive scene was made. Right, okay. So Michael Nemo, I've not forgotten. Let's come on, it's Christmas. Let's feel Doctor Who-ish just for a moment, just for one day.
Stage. Oh, this way.
What is it?
A double cross. Gets more interesting by the minute.
Doctor Who, it's Doctor Who after all. Now, Consolidated, I'm being really fair. My God, how can these shills there must hate me? Oh, sorry, they do. How do I? Right, okay. The truth is, it hurts. Honesty hurts. My mum always said this. She said, people don't like honesty. So there you go. There's the Consolidated rank ordered. Some of them have moved up and down the order, and now there's only 2 yellow spin-off ones I can show you, and you can see where they are. Now you can make your own judgments, everybody. I'm not going to lead you to the decision here. You can see all the Consolidated of RTD2's era. Again, you can see the green is at the top. That's the specials. You can see that season 1 is pretty much doing better than season 2. Pretty much. And you can see that Plastic Apocalypse started to limp. And we haven't done week 2 or week 3 yet. I really do think, John, they're going to limp home and they're going to end up. I think, John, should we have a bet? I think especially the last 2 episodes of the spin-off are going to be well and truly in that bottom.
Below the story in the engine, I think. I actually think you're going to be looking at around about the 2 million mark. I reckon. That's my guessing. I just think that a lot of people are going to just turn off from this. Again, this is a one and done series. This isn't one that's going to have lots of people hearing, there's word of mouth. You must watch this. You must watch this. And unless someone actively seeks it out, I don't think people are going to go looking for it, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that's where we are with it. I think it's going to do very, very badly when it's all tabulated.
And everybody knows, or hopefully they know, and hopefully they expect I'll be here and we'll talk about it. I did try and get the 5-minute breakdowns. Gary Lee's the man. He will get them. They'll come after Christmas. It's Christmas after all. So sorry, folks. I can't do that I normally like to do. There's the Homer Aqua Bodies. This was when the war was over. We know that bit was the bit that was over. I'm just showing John to save him. But actually, you just thought,
well, sugar puffs all over him.
If you want sci-fi, you want the kind of the creature and the jeopardy with that. But that's an over, and then we get back to human soap. Great shots, can't knock it. There's lots of dead sea devils in the water in Shanghai. It's all there, Great.
What episode was this? Was this the finale? Sorry.
Yes.
See, look, hands up. I'm not a script writer. I'm not a specialist in this field. But doesn't it make sense that you would start episode 1 with this? And this is the prelude to a war and a conflict with humanity. If suddenly all these bodies rise to the surface, then you go into the series and you're basically like, these creatures are very, very angry because of what has happened, caused by humanity. What is going on is killing them off. Then you go into the rest of the series about trying to find a peace deal with these people, with these creatures. But no, I just don't. Why would you put that at the end and not put that at the beginning?
Well, I thought one of the best starts to the Star Trek movie franchise was it Star Trek The Undiscovered Country? Was it when Praxis blew up?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And the Klingons were doing what they don't normally do, which is asking for a mayday and asking for help. And then, of course, there was the whole setup. But, of course, they were bitter about what had happened to da. I thought it was a nice setup. So I take your point, script writing wise. So that's beautiful shots. Now this is where the discussions happen, John, and I think this is when the thread and yourself might get excited. Now this is, I can't remember whether it was Tomboy Chick. It was somebody in our thread who did say this, by the way, Bromeo and Halibut. And then I've added William Hartnell, bless him. Dear oh dear, this is progress, is it? Really, this is now anecdote number 75 from me. My mum yesterday was talking about this. She hates Doctor Who, as you all know. But she asked me about this spin-off because she knows I do these shows. And I said, right, and do you know what I did, John? I played the ending, but just the audio, right? And my mum loves, music. So she said, that's David Bowie. Da, 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 da. And she said, that's quite a nice version. And actually, musically, It was a nice version.
Yeah.
So if you just listen to the music, you're going, oh God, this sounds a bit glossy. Then I showed Mam the pictures. And when Mam saw the pictures, she said, oh, now remember, I haven't told her anything to do with the plot. So I'm not clickbaiting here, folks. And you know what my mum then said? Remember, she also represents just the British public who are not Doctor Who nutters. And she said, I think that's a bit wrong. And then I took her out shopping, and then we're in the bar, of course. And then she said, that's bestiality, Brendan. She said, I think this is sick. British public speaks out, and RTD decided to waste all that Disney money on something that the British public were going to go, not my thing.
Yeah, and can I ask, when I saw this, I thought to myself, okay, so she's giving him gills, like you rightly said, without consent, you know, because we're all about consent these days. If we're in, you know, if we're on the in 2025, but also, how is he not getting hypothermia? How is he not freezing to death? He's got gills, but he's taking his top off. You know, so he's gonna the freezing cold of the ocean. He's gonna survive swimming off of her. And the final thing I wanted to say was, I was really, really hoping that just as they're swimming off into the sunset, you just see like a whaling fish, whaling ship just coming into view with a harpoon and netting them.
I just think.
What did he do with his T-shirt? What did he do? Because surely Kate would have wanted to shoot him, wouldn't she? Because he just threw it in the ocean.
As you know, she was smiling and very happy at that point. I mean, I didn't know really what to think, but I have to say, when you think this is turning people off, and you know, I thought I was being very fair when I said RTD's good for Channel 4. Now, my mum and my friend and her husband, 3 people I know, said, oh, no. And this is what I mean. RTD doesn't truly know what the mainstream British public are wanting for their entertainment. And that is what we're concerned about. He's using our Doctor Who platform to do all his messaging and his stuff, but it's not registering with the British public. And yet, like my friend said today, if she'd been told this was Doctor Who, she'd have granted it different leeway, and she'd have probably, well, she'd have needed the Doctor in it, by the way, and she'd have gone with it as a classic adventure in Doctor Who, and it's a family thing to watch. He thought he was being clever ass by doing a spin-off that is linked with Doctor Who, but isn't. He might as well have made us, John, 5 more episodes of, I'll be honest, it's better be good Doctor Who than something else that was hit and miss, needed the Doctor in it, John.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand what the British public want. I'm saying it now.
And, well, I would also add to that, you know, these people aren't even true believers on climate change and climate activism and all of that nonsense, because you know full well that they've probably been out on nights out down Canal Street, and they've probably had, you know, cigarettes on the go, and they just flick them onto the floor, and, you know, plastic cups after drinking alcohol, and they flick that onto the floor. These people don't believe any of this. What they do is they actually think, oh, do you know what? If we put this in, this is going to get our viewing figures to go high because it's important. But as you were saying, they are so out of touch with the general viewer.
We have Alexander, I hope I'm saying it right, Alexander Cart, saying there's some serious coping from your part, I assume, Brendan, to try to claim this show wasn't a success. I've been talking for 1 hour 33. I hope you've seen my slides and haven't just tuned in, because that means you're making a judgment without the information. Yeah. I've shown plenty of slides. I've looked at consolidated and contextualize it. I've also then rank ordered it with all of Doctor Who. I've also then compared it to all the other TV programs at night with the same consolidation figures. And Alexandra, I've also then compared it with the excuse that it wasn't going to do well because it was against I'm a Celebrity. Then I've shown you the consolidated and how it didn't pick up. I have tried and sliced and diced and done everything. So I'll ask you, Alexandra, why are you saying it's coping rather than truth? So please, Alexandra, come back. It's not an argument. I'm not going to diss you. I'm not going to swear at you. I'd be one of those people. I'm actually saying I'm trying to understand. Please come back with a question. Well, not a question. Come back with an explanation. Why do you think it's coping and not just the statistical truth?
Yeah.
Where's the coping? But I'm an English teacher. Please explain the definition of coping, and then I'll really have a debate with you. Because
exactly,
it's not about coping. I just do truth. I just do reality. I just do honesty. It's the only way the planet can operate. I don't do virtue signaling guff. I don't pretend I'm a clever ass when I'm not. I will just say this is the truth, and here it is. And I've used plenty of sentences tonight to say, over to you. What's your conclusion on the consolidated? So, Alexandra, come back. Honestly, I want to you explain yourself a little bit more, because at the moment, coping sounds like a sentence. You shoot in and you hop off. Please stay around and explain yourself, because I don't quite understand what you mean. Now, come back. That's good. I like that type, because it's the biggest launch in. I said that. Did you hear me say that 2 weeks ago? Alexandra, I explained 2 weeks ago that, in fact, I said it tonight, John.
Yeah.
Alexandra, I'd put it in the headlines. I said the premiere was a standout. Didn't I say that, John?
But that's episode 1. You know, we're talking about the remaining episodes as well and the decline in viewership. When you're losing 800,000 people, you can't say that is a success. It's not. It's a failure. And again, one thing I will say about you, Alexandra, is I like the fact that you've turned up on this channel tonight, because one thing Brendan does on his channel, like he's just done, he's given you an opportunity and he's debating with you. And I hope we see you again, because you will see there's no spin on it on this channel. It's literally the data is provided. So I hope we see you again and continue to see you, and you'll acknowledge that,
John,
because
John, I'll even say to Alexandra, and people in the thread know this, I like different viewpoints. Alexandra, if you wrote to me on Gmail, I'd have you on. I don't mean straight away, because we can't, but I would. But there you go, Alexandra. While you've been waiting, and thanks, John, I've actually put up the headlines, and you will see there, Alexandra, what I said. Can you see the top blue? Premiere standout. It outperformed most shooty Doctor Who episodes. That was the headline. So may I say, Alexandra, I've heard what you've said, and I said what you said in a different way. It's not coping. That was the truth as well. So there you go. This channel just offers the truth. Do you see what I mean?
100%.
That's what it's all about.
And again, on top of all that, as I said in the show as well, this was a co-production with Disney. And I'm sorry, but it's still to launch on Disney, but it's not going to get anywhere near the viewing figures that Disney want. And that's why Disney have pulled out of the deal. It's because they know it's not going to be a success. They've seen what's come before. This isn't what they want. That's all there is to it. I mean, people can say to me until they're blue in the face that it's a massive success. Well, I always go back with it. It's very simple. You've just shown this the stats there, Brendan. You show it regularly. But the other thing that I always come back to is, okay, if it's such a success, why have Disney pulled out of the deal? If it was so successful, they'd want to keep it going, wouldn't they?
Alexandra, stick around, Alexandra. It is interesting. And please, people in the thread, please, I know we're pretty respectful here. We don't attack different opinion. I'm interested in it. As long as they hang around, it's the people who appear, shoot an insult and then disappear. I can't stand. But Alexandra's not doing that. So there's that point. And it's interesting. You threw that one in. Why would Disney walk away? There's so many things to say.
Can I just say that scene you just showed there, I live on the South Coast.
Yeah.
What she looks like there is what we look like coming out of the ocean with all the seaweed in the summer.
Wolf, instead, if the show had ended with Barclay being forced into sea, with people having nice jokes here, little devils. Squinty Mint. Some of us have praised some of the episodes. I thought 1, 3, and 4 were fine, but the figures were dire. I said personally, I enjoyed part 1 mostly. Part 3, yeah, but I think they needed to get down into the great Homer Aqua Sea Devil world faster. And actually, if you had John Pertwee in Sea Devils, he'd have been there earlier. So all that would have worked.
It's all good. Like I always like hearing from Mr. Squinty Mint, and yeah, I mean, it's no one's telling everybody here, oh, you know, we must all think the same. We've all got to hate the stories. There's people in the chat that like them. You know, there's people that were with it.
But John, I was just throwing this up for a second. I'm not playing it again, everyone. Don't worry. I had this video, which is clips from part 1 and part 3, the bits I thought were good. How is this coping? This is me saying I wish they'd spent more time on stuff like this.
Yeah.
This is the point. RTD made a decision, and his decision went in the wrong direction as far as I'm concerned. And it just so seems to me that the many, many different stats are backing that up. And then on top of that, Alexandra, the anecdotes of people who don't know I'm doing shows about the ratings, they're just my friends or my family. And what they're telling me correlates with the stats. It all comes together, you see.
It does.
So that's when I'm putting that one up. Don't worry, I'm not playing that again. I'm not into that. There's that. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around to the wrong thing. Really? Right, here you go. Kate's losing it. Now, I made a big thing of this, so let me just take a chill pill for a second. We all need a chill pill. Here we go. Alexandra, I do appreciate this. So Disney pulled out because they expected a bigger success for series 14 and 15. The viewing figures on Disney Plus were apparently average or below average. It was too niche. I've got all the facts and figures. My sources agreed with me. I could go on. I'll give you the biggest summary in history, Alexandra, because I know my stuff. In other words, honesty. It was too niche for them. Their demographics were telling them alarm bells were set off with Space Babies and the other one, Rtd'S. And that's why they sent notes to RTD. RTD was not receiving the call. Julie Gardner tried to be the median in between. It didn't work. Then they were trying to say RTD is like a super fan. He does actually know this brand. So he knows this will work. But their demographics were going alarm bells, alarm bells, alarm bells. And we're finding that Doctor Who was not hitting that audience big enough. It was falling between the cracks. They didn't like that either. They also thought it looked a bit too... tonally, it was inconsistent. So they didn't know how to pitch it. They didn't know how to advertise it. And it went on and on and on and on. So yes, Alexandra, I totally agree with you in summary that Disney wanted out because RTD got it wrong, produced it wrong, made the wrong content, made the wrong decisions, wasted the money and got it completely wrong. We agree.
Yeah.
So on this score, RTD's message on toxic femininity, because it seems that everybody is bothered in the UK at the moment about toxic masculinity. And me and my teacher friends were talking about this today, and we've never seen any issue in secondary education with lads. Fact. The politicians who like to talk to themselves and the London media seem to think there's a major issue with it. Right, I'll just park that. But in the programme, where all the people who agree with our British government are dominant, they forgot to think that actually what they showed in this spin-off I will call toxic femininity. And John, a woman who's in charge of a military organisation which is above the British government, and in this episode, John, threatened the British government and threatened the British Prime Minister with him having his day of reckoning with her if he doesn't follow what she says, right? This is called progressive. Or you could say BITCH. So, toxic femininity. A man drops a plastic bottle on the beach. Meanwhile, John, in part 1 and 2, the Sea Devils dropped thousands and thousands and thousands of tons of plastic bottles, Titanic, anchors. It must have killed people, but she wanted diplomatic relations. One man on a beach drops one plastic bottle and she gets a gun out and says, pick it up. Toxic femininity, anybody? Is Keir Starmer going to do a speech by tomorrow on it? Is RTD not seeing that he is completely mixed up with his messaging?
I mean, again, the guy can't see the wood through the trees because he's completely in that lovey bubble. You know, I funnily enough, I think I said to you before I saw it as I was walking down to see Mum in the lounge, and she had it on, and you said about the littering, and I said, don't tell me it's a toxic white man that's doing it. You know, and again, lo and behold, as I walk in, it is. And, you know, I always remember when she was first introduced and Matt Smith's doctor basically said, science leads, isn't that right, Kate? You know, well, she flipping well doesn't lead by science now, does she? Has she seen the littering in India? Is she going to declare world war on India now? You know, it's...
You see, to be honest, RTD, I wouldn't accuse of being progressive. I'd accused him of being parochial. He was waffling on about the Thames water. Well, we all know in Britain about the Thames water issue. But actually, if you go abroad and see... I mean, when I was in Bangkok, the state of that river... Sorry, everybody in Thailand. If you go and see the state of the River Ganges... Excuse me, everybody, why do we have to make spin-offs of a global sci-fi story and waffle on about the River Thames all the time as if we're the dirtiest river in the world? Have you travelled, RTD?
Yeah. I mean, this is where it is now. I mean, the general viewer sees something like that and they're just... Not only do they laugh at how pathetic it is, but they also think, why do I even bother watching this nonsense where... all you're going to do is writing characters to basically say how bad we are as the general viewer. No, we're not actually. And we're getting a bit sick of people like you telling us that we're these bad people, because your job is to entertain people. If you've forgotten that, your job is not to lecture people about how they should live their lives, especially when you live in your bubble and you don't apply to any of these rules yourselves. I've got no doubt this guy lives where he lives and he just drinks Evian water at some point, you know.
It just...
lovely, isn't it? You know, it's
just we're talking about... And by the way, and I'm not... the news 2 weeks ago in Australia, we all know the event and we all know what was used.
Yeah.
And I used to know in the past, John, and you know this, the BBC and ITV, and I'm sure other channels around the world, when there's been a major national or international incident, so like a plane crash, can you imagine when they had the Lockerbie kind of thing in Emmerdale? They'd have to have changed it and postponed it for a few weeks because it would have been seen as insensitive. I just find it... Okay, I'm just saying it. I'm not trying to prove a political point because people did die in Australia. But basically, there was a terrorist attack in Australia 2 weeks ago. And then we have a scene where we're supposed to like Kate. She's in unit and she's the Brigadier's daughter, as Doctor Who fans.
Terrible.
And she gets a gun out to threaten to shoot a man on a beach.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, hello. They still put it out, the BBC.
Well, again, you know, you've got this character who, you know, been in the role for over a decade now. There's been no development or progression with this character whatsoever. Has been pretty much, in my opinion, unlikable from the word go. There is nothing about her whatsoever. It was just thrown in as, oh, this will be clever, wouldn't it, if it's Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart's daughter. The Brigadier, could you imagine the Brig behaving like this? Not a chance.
He'd blow up the Silurians, though. I mean,
yeah, exactly. But you know, he wouldn't he wouldn't kill someone for littering. You know,
now we
if he went out in the Three Doctors where he thought it was Cromer, he wouldn't shoot someone dead running.
Now we do have alternative opinions, which is great. Sticks Boy 73. Think about what just happened throughout the series. She's had to deal with the consequences of pollution, and here this guy is polluting without a care, like nothing happened to this land for a few weeks. I take it you could say it's one of those weird things where you might be in charge of an international crisis, and then in your personal life, you just go in there and you go, and these people don't realise. But so I take your point, but I also
she
say
should have been removed from her position.
But the other thing is, these people, we all have situations where you're going, if only people knew. So, for example, I had to deal with child safeguarding all my career. And if I saw somebody in my family, I don't mean doing something serious, but the way they told their kid off or something, I thought, oh, be careful. No, don't bring your workspace into your personal space. We all know that rule. She's actually failed to. I will give you the context. And John, you were saying it. She's got PTSD. She's medically been prescribed lots of medication. Well, she threatened it. By the way, John, I'll do it
Red
now.
Flag. Yeah.
Well, here you go. There, first of all, there's that I said pick it up. And I don't know. We've said
what if I don't?
I know.
This is the supposed high quality writing ability. And what if I don't? Like he's squaring up to a white lady, sort of like, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough.
but the thing that Stikes boy, why did she not be part of the negotiating team telling off the Sea Devils for saying dropping all that litter back on planet Earth doesn't bring friends and doesn't help the world situation and doesn't help. So yeah, I know it was a very clunky. I think the allegation with RTD, with Radio Times, that they all say his writing is clunky, his messaging is clunky, and I think this was clunky. Now, on top of this, John, she talked to her psychologist at the very beginning of part 5, and he gave her some nice lines, like fair dues. She is dealing with world Armageddon, and the psychologist says, how's your week been? And she goes, oh, I'm happy, obviously. I think it's great. She was a bit sarky. But then when the psychologist said, I'm going to have to make sure you are off work, you can't work with your condition. Now, she is a woman. Let's remind ourselves, this is woman on woman. This is a female talking to a female. No toxic masculine is in the room. And she threatens the psychologist and says, I know your daughter is not your husband's. And oh yes, UNIT knows everything. And if you don't give me those tablets and those pills, I will make sure things happen. So let me just say this in a different way. A woman threatens a woman with blackmail of a personal thing about whose baby it is. And we are not talking about toxic femininity. Or RTD thinks this is clever writing. Or RTD, after all these years script writing, thinks this will make me sympathise with her. No.
No, I'm just going to come out and say it as well, mate. From what he's written here, from what I've seen, this just only adds evidence in the universe that a woman shouldn't be put in charge of a major military organization, because that's what his writing suggests. His writing suggests that this is a woman that can't keep herself under control. She won't listen to people who are trying to help her, and she threatens members of the public when they drop a little piece of litter. That says to me that she is clearly unfit to lead a military organization. Now, sorry, whether you like that or not on what I've said, that's RTD's own writing that is evidencing that is there. That is how he's done it. So where he's tried to be clever, he's actually backhanded himself by what he's written, because she comes across as deranged and out of control and manipulative and controlling. So
can I just say something else? I'm going to say Mordrin Undead.
Yeah.
I didn't really like that story for one reason. They turned the Brigadier into a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
And look what and by the way, I'm making that point deliberately, everybody, because I am referencing and criticizing Classic Who. So I'm being fair. But look what we've done to the Brigadier's daughter. I don't know if I'm into this. I really don't.
No, and again, the difference was there. Unit shut him down, didn't they? Unit basically relieved him. That was the trail I remember from,
Yeah.
things I'd read about Mordred Undead. So he had to leave and he had to take that teaching role. I agree with you. I didn't agree with that at all. But we're meant to believe that this is the daughter of Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart, who you're telling me that the brig didn't instill values into her. I mean, she even talked in Matt Smith and Capaldi's eras about what the brig used to say to her, and read stories to her that were classified. And yet she's behaving like this. Her dad in the universe would be absolutely disgusted about the way she's behaving. And again, when I talk about development of characters, this is what I said earlier. There are some shows in the past, and there are some Doctor Who stories where within 10 minutes, you're invested in a character. Someone brought up Robots of Death as a story earlier. Those characters in that story, you're invested in those characters within I would say the first 5 to 10 minutes. It gets going. This is a character that has been in Doctor Who for over 10 years, and yet I've got no investment in this character, and I know I'm not alone in it because it's just a one-dimensional carbon cutout.
We've got Sticks Boy comes back. Great. Lots of military people are having to go to psychologists nowadays. It's just part of the norm now. By the way, Sticks Boy, I know I used to be part of that stuff. Excuse me. Yeah, that's true, and it's awful. I mean, it should be given higher status, and we should look after our veterans. But the point is, I don't think RTD is selling that topic very well. In Lucky Day, Ruby Sunday had PTSD. If you're going to do a story about PTSD, I don't think Doctor Who's the place to do it, by the way. I'll be honest. I love my show, but PTSD is not the place to do it. And if you really do think it deserves that, you've done it to sin, RTD. Do a one-off play on PTSD. But don't just throw away a line and say, therefore I've represented it, folks. Jazz hands. You haven't.
Well, again, it's if you're going to do it in this story, you do it that you're right. There are checks in the military, but when you're seeing that therapist or that psychologist, they are saying, look, I'm sorry, I'm referring to your supervisor, your superiors, that you be relieved of duty for the time being. That would have been a far more interesting element of the story, that Kate's relieved of duty and she's having to overcome this, and she comes back from that to help save the day. That's how you write it. You show them fighting it and coming back from it. RTD doesn't do that. I mean, you talked before about, we got another example. He put Rose Noble in the 60th, because he wanted to have, he wanted to have an LGBTQ representation in it. But it was a one-dimensional character that was there 5 minutes and gone, because he just thought, I'll just stick that in and that'll make the people who support me happy. There was no development of that character whatsoever. You can swap so many of his characters in and out.
There needs to be more research on this done properly by script writers who want to take it seriously, as Tomboy Chick is saying here. I've got to be fair. Sticks Boy, someone in the chat has said going to the psychologist should throw up a red flag and da. And really, it shouldn't, because that's, like I'm saying, it's just norm for these guys. Look, I know it's a serious topic. We are just doing a thread and a show about kind of Doctor Who and spin-offs.
Yeah.
As I've said, and I mean it, veterans should be looked after. No veterans should be homeless. Most of those veterans who are homeless, it is a mental health issue. We know that. The British governments of all colours know that. Why didn't we look after them? So my point is, Sticks Boy, I totally agree with you. But a throwaway line in Doctor Who or the spin-off, nah. That's virtue signalling script writing. I'm not buying it, and I'm not applauding RTD. He doesn't get a special Welsh script writing award from me. Now on this one, this is a standalone show, John, and it has nothing to do with Doctor Who. So we got a line at the end. Remember, the non-war is over, and Shirley, by the way, if you were worried about Kate being in charge, she's the deputy head of unit, Shirley. So she took over for a second, right? She says the times when the Doctor is nowhere to be seen. I think I felt this in the Christmas Invasion, but anyway. And then Gemma Redgrave says, he said, I save the human race. I don't shape the human race. And then you can get that wrong all on your own. So suddenly we have a line discussing the Doctor who RTD chose not to be in it. The Doctor could have been in it, but RTD chose it to be a spin-off. Where is the logic in all this?
It's all not. I mean, again, can I just say, I save the human race. I don't shape the human race. When literally you had an episode where he's having a go at Conrad in the TARDIS about how he should act and his behavior. That's shaping the human race. That's think like me and do what I say, or you're the enemy, basically.
Yeah.
That's what he did. And again, I think this speaks to me that there are two elements here, that when this was originally written, and again, this has been in production for quite some time. What was this? This was done in season 1 of Shooty Who?
Well, it's been dragging on a bit, yeah.
Season 1/2. So it's been done for quite some time, but it makes me think that it was written when they thought that the Shooty Doctor Who series was potentially going to be a success. And then what someone else has done in maybe the marketing and PR side of things is they thought, oh, hang on a minute, that series of Doctor Who, those 2 series were awful. We need to distance ourselves from it. They've taken Doctor Who off of the title and they've just done War Between the Land and the Sea, but the script still references the Doctor. And I don't know why nobody was saying that to him about
because there's no script writer, editor, because there's nobody at Bad Wolf who will challenge him. And as my source said, the next showrunner after RTD, no doubt, will be somebody only Bad Wolf wants to work with. So therefore, my only guess was Pete McTighe. The point is, nobody wants to be challenged anymore. I am happy to be challenged on here. Why can't powerful people be happy to be challenged? I'm nothing. Isn't it funny that the more powerful people get, they don't like to be challenged, but us people at the bottom are actually open to it?
Well, they only go on official channels that are basically going to, allow them to spew their way of thinking about a particular story. I think with what you've just said there, I mean, those quotes from Kate again. Surely you've got the 14th Doctor on speed dial. That's why it doesn't work for me. Shooty, or what's happened to Shooty in the regeneration into, Butch Rose or whatever she is now. You got 14th Doctor that is still there in his garden, who's probably got a mobile phone, or Donna's got a mobile phone because she worked for UNIT. Remember, she was offered a job. So you're telling me that they're not in communication with the 14th Doctor. So it's just not believable because it's a thread that they've never fixed.
Well, Grant G knows that it's the Who Pets that should do a good version of this. And I know it. They're always hinting that I need to show the Who Pets. And a double... Hello? So I know now, John. We've had it's his Christmas after all. We've had a sparkling 2 hours in. We have done the ratings, consolidated overnights. We've done context. We've had debate. We've had a tiny bit of Doctor Who on the side, and it's time. It's Christmas. So everybody in the thread, it's a Merry Christmas. They are going to be recordings. John is doing lots of editing on his, and he's going to talk about it in a minute. But there should be 3 or 4 shows from me over the next week and a half. I just need to edit them and do Christmas and wrap presents. But everybody, Thank you for supporting us this year. Thank you very much. I don't take it for granted and I appreciate it. Please, if you're kind enough, spread the word. Tell one Doctor Who friend about this channel and you've given me a lovely Christmas present. So thank you everybody who's found us and has joined in, and I hope you all have a Merry Christmas from the Sense Sphere. John, how's your channel going? What you're up to?
Yeah, thanks, mate. It's been great being here, and I mirror what you said. Merry Christmas to everybody. Channel's going great, thanks. Like I say, I've just done a recording of Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, the 79 theatrical version. So that'll be up tomorrow, which I had a lot of fun doing that one. And our Stargate SG1 live watch parties returns this Sunday, along with our Supernatural live watch party straight after it. So lots of good things happening, many more things to come in 2026 when I get quicker with editing, mate.
Well, one person who does edit very fast, obviously, because he's our AI specialist, is Garbage too. So it's a Merry Christmas to Garbage. So Garbage, I hope you and your family have a very good Christmas, and thank you for all your content for this channel and on your own. And I hope your subs go up, your views go up too, as well as Sci-Fi Chronicles. So Merry Christmas, Garbage. So there you go. It's time now. I'm going to go off this, John, in a moment, like you will. And you know what? I'm going to watch the Ice Rories that was on BBC4 and the Innes Lloyd production then. And I appreciate everybody who's stayed with us and are now going to go and watch that, because that's proper Doctor Who.
It is. I'm watching Sea Devils now. You got me in the mood for it. Proper Sea Devils, original broadcast Sea Devils. Thank you very much.
Especially part 1.
Oh, yeah. Phenomenal.
Bungle Bear, thank you, Brendan, and all those who join in on presenting duties. I know it's a massive team. I am so lucky that so many people come on my channel. Thank you very much. Mr. Squinty Mint, find one Doctor Who friend who doesn't visit the channel, and please, everybody, it would be much appreciated. You don't want to be static. You want to keep growing and growing and finding new friends. But I will shut my face now, as I used to say to class. Right, I'm going to shut my gob now, shut my mush and go. Everybody have a fantastic Christmas. Look after each other. Enjoy a bit of Doctor Who. I am going to have time to watch the Blu-rays, John. That means finish season 7. Watch season 21. I mean, I'm miles behind.
I will hold you to that, because you've been saying that for a while. So that's it. No opening presents now, mate. You get on it. You get on the box sets. You do it.
Trouble is, I go to bed and when I wake up, I'm going, I think I could do a show, but I've got to stop that. Everybody,
he'll do one or two now, everybody, just because he'll wake up and go, yeah, why not?
I'm definitely going to go now. Thanks, everybody. And thanks to you, John, as well. So bye, everyone.
Take care.